let's kick things off here. We are joined by, and Guy, in the promotion to this, I called you the average Joe trader, which is, actually just something that you said in our prep conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you could have been a little better about it and called me like the average guy at least. I mean, then that would have been a little like, oh, But
little play,
no,
but I wanted to make sure people understood that your name actually is Guy.
Yeah. No, my whole life.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's been like.
Yeah, it toughened me up when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we are. Well, something just happened with my webcam. Here we go. We're joined by Guy, and your last name is actually Drinkwater, right?
That's right.
All right.
Again, it was trial by fire in elementary school. And unfortunately, my son is going to suffer that same fate because he's actually the third. So, yeah.
Oh, he's the third. He's Guy Drinkwater the third.
Yeah, I'm a junior. So yeah,
That's awesome.
he couldn't escape. But I think kids are a lot easier going nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, the bullying factor is, I mean, whatever. It still happens, right, but it's reduced by 90% compared to what it used to be.
100%.
I guess it's cyberbullying now. Anyways, so Guy is our quote average Joe trader, and the reason that we wanted to bring Guy on is because not only is he someone who has been through some of what we offer in terms of he's a member of the Steam Room, active in there, derives a lot of value from that. He's been through the master course, but he has taken a lot of the stuff that we do, that various people in our community do, and he's picked what works for him. He's left the rest of it by the wayside, and he's applied it to his own trading with really great results, with a lot of success, especially as Guy, I'll kind of let you explain so far this year. So, we're here just to kind of go through your experience. I think a lot of times when we have guys like Ranchero or Lucci, some people feel like, listen, I can't just be in front of my screens for 8 hours a day. I can't be as dedicated to this as these guys are. So it helps to bring on someone who, like you, Guy, who has a ton going on in your life, professionally. You're not just trading. And who, as you said in your own words, you were kind of like struggling, trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, all the pieces kind of came together for you. So let's talk a little bit. Let's just kind of give everybody like your story in terms of what, how you came to trading, and then real quick, like kind of where you're at now, how much time you can dedicate to trading versus what's going on for you, running your own business, all that.
Sure. Yeah. And the funny thing is, even today, like I don't tell anybody that I'm a trader. I just like, I don't consider myself a trader because I feel like the general sense outside of everyone in the room and in the trading community is, oh, you gamble on the stock market. You're like, oh, right. All right. Right. So by trade, I am an architect, buildings, construction, stuff like that. I'm a registered architect. That's how I came up. I have a very busy life, and I started trading, call it, maybe 15 years ago, and it was always a hobby. So what I struggled with was, as I was coming up, and again, I was an architect and I was trying to do that, and I went to college and I got my license and I did all those things. And then I got into the working world, and currently I work in corporate America. I work for a Fortune 500 company. I have an executive position, and I try to balance that. I run the design and construction division there, and we have facilities all over the world, and there's obviously time that goes towards that. but my love was always trading, forever. I just felt like it was this weird sort of niche group that, like, we were on the inside as a trader and no one else really knew what was going on, but we did, but then 3 years ago, I was thrown into something completely different. I started a business with my wife, and social media retail, essentially selling clothes online. It was like the modern day QVC. And she is supreme boss lady, crushes it day in, day out. I feel like I have 17 professions and she makes me look lazy. So there's probably part of that, right? I'm trying to make up for that as well. But so now here we are 3 years forward, or actually, I'm sorry, take that back, 2.5 months forward from starting the business. I still actively, my 9 to 5, I'm an architect and an executive in corporate America. And then I started in the steam room, actually, but I've been in the steam room in and out for years.
Right.
But it was always a hobby. Anyone asked, they would talk about the stock market. Oh, do you trade? That's always a funny question. I said, yeah, I trade. But it's a hobby. Like, I don't make any money at it. It's, I'm about as good at trading as I was at golf. I'm terrible at golf. So, but I loved it. And so I blew up a bunch all the time, but never really relied on it. Never told anyone I was a trader again. But then towards the end, I'll say middle of last year, because I think you guys started the master course somewhere around September, maybe
Yeah.
August.
Yep. Yeah. That
Okay,
sounds right.
so, and then, it finally clicked. I said to myself, and I'm sure I feel like the reason I wanted to come on, because I feel like I relate to most people in the room. Not a superstar trader. I am not a, Captain Insano technician where I'm going to enter a position because the 37.5 SMA crossed over the 52-week, whatever. That's not me. But I think you could still make it. And that's the important part, right? So anyway, so I joined up in the steam room because I said to myself, all right, you're either going to take this serious or you continue to piss money away on poor trading, a lack of discipline. And that doesn't mean I'm the most disciplined person now. I'm still not. Have plenty of things to work on like anybody else. But I feel like, and I don't want to speak for anybody in the room, but I'll speak for me, but I imagine that there's other people who could align with this and say, oh no, I won't go spend, and I don't even know what the cost of the master class is now. Let's just say it was, $3,000 or whatever. I don't want to spend $3,000 on the class. But then the next day, like right now, there's people probably watching this that are holding lottos into tomorrow that are currently valued at $3,000, $5,000 that can go to zero. And that's completely acceptable somehow. And they won't put the money towards their own education and taking it seriously.
Right.
So anyway, so I made that decision. Okay, this is stupid. Let me take this more seriously. So now the upside is I'm still ridiculously busy. I think my wife and I, stopped working, got off a live sale last night at, it was probably midnight, after doing the 9 to 5 during the day, obviously watching screens all day. And then, I'm back at it. So, but now since coming out of the course, I went in there and I said, there's things, it was a fantastic education. And I always say that, I've never learned anything that didn't cost me money. Right. And so it was, and whether it's a loss in the market or finding out the hard way, about theta or or the VIX or whatever, it always comes at a cost. But I took the class and it really set me on the right path. I said to Charlie yesterday that prior to really becoming serious in the steam room and with the master class, I was surviving. I could survive on my own. I didn't need anyone to survive. I'd be up, I'd be down, I'd lose, but I had a regular job. I had a business at that point. So it was a hobby. Mm-hmm. But now I'll say in the last 6 months, take it more seriously, looking at things a little bit differently and just being more accountable to other people in the group, to the guys who lead this team. And I'm profitable. And it's become a real difference maker.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about what adjustments you made, what changed for you, right? So, are you using tape on a daily basis right now? Has that become something that's kind of locked in for you? Or is it like your perspective on options has shifted? Like what tactically changed for you in terms of how you trade?
I was always from early on trading options, trading futures. Still dabble in futures a little, but I think a couple things really changed. One, and it's funny. I think Lucci said a tweet somewhere basically that I forget exactly what he said, but the point is that, like, you can learn from somebody. Like, I can't necessarily follow what you do. I mean, I listen to him, I'm in awe, right? I mean, Ranchero, some of these guys, I'm like, this is fantastic. I don't know how they do that. And I think getting over that was a big part of it, to say that you could still be profitable without, I can't read tape like Lucci. He says that he can bounce, and I believe him. I have no reason not to. That he could just come into a middle of a day, look at some tape, know exactly what's going on. I can't do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but there was a couple things that I started to do. One was big for me, was cash management. Right, like I know in the past, early on, like a lot of people in the room, I was caught up with the pattern day trading rules and some of those other things, and trying to grow my account, and even still to this day, I've been doing this for a pretty long time, but I'm still capable of making terrible decisions. So the cash management side was, it was a great way to protect me from myself. So what I did was, I know some people in the group, they want to grow their trading account, and maybe that works for them. I mean, Lucci swings a monster line every day. That's
Right.
fantastic. It just didn't work for me. That's how I was blowing up. That's how I was. I think I was in the, not to go off on a tangent, but I think I was in the steam room on like 3 separate occasions, and I'd email them after like a couple months, like, oh my God, I blew up. Please stop the recurring charges. I'm an idiot. I can't trade anymore.
Right.
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 So, so there was a lot of that, but and I was, like I said, caught up in pattern day trading and everything else. So what happened was, I decided, okay, I'm going to start with a larger account, and even that sort of comfort level has increased over time. So again, just to talk numbers, and because I feel like a lot of people, especially newer people, can relate to this. So I started with, like, I don't remember, it was $80,000 or $100,000, and which, again, it's a lot of money. I completely get that, but I didn't want to be trapped in the pattern day trading thing anymore. So I said, all right, so I'm gonna start with $100,000, and then if I had a good day or a good week and I got to 110, I would take out the $10,000, and I go back to that initial 100,000, so that I'm starting again at zero. Because I think a lot of times, and it happens to me, you make a few good trades and all of a sudden you think you're the man. Oh, I got this figured out. Well, no, you don't. Right. So, and then you get kicked in the teeth the next day. So it was a natural protection against that. I don't personally, I think my trading is not to the level where I could just continue to grow my account and swing a monster line and be profitable, or at least minimize the downside risk. So what I started to do was, again, it was that comfort level. All right, I have $100,000, end of the week, or I had a monster day, $20,000 day. It's out. So the next day I go in and I'm back at zero. What have you done lately? Nothing, right? You're back at zero. You're starting over. And I think that really helped me. And so, and again, this is going to sound like a little wonky to some people, but I've, for me, found that even today, so, my I'll say, call it comfortable swing size or account size has grown a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if it was, last year it was, $30,000, $40,000, and now it's, call it, and then it was 100,000 at the beginning of the year. Now I try to stay around 250. Yesterday, hit for 12, I wired L12. I was back to 250. There's, again, it's just give me always that sense of like home base. All right, here's where you come back to, and on, on the other side, all right, you have a bad week. Well, now all of a sudden I'm down 65. So then I put back in to get back to that 250.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that cash management has really helped me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're seeing some comments in the chat around people saying like, hey, average Joe doesn't have 100 grand or, whatever. And, yeah, Guy is trading, at some size, especially after he's seen the success. It is bigger than most, people out there, a lot of people in this webinar are probably not trading at that size. But that's not, really one of the things that we talk about in the course is that your account size, especially at the beginning when you're trying to hit that consistency, is basically irrelevant, right? I mean, whether you're beneath pattern day trading or not is a delineation that's important. We talk about that strategically, but Guy, I think your story is representative of someone's path through, as you said, sort of treading water, getting to the point where now you feel like you are growing your account successfully and consistently. Sure. Not just based on the size, but based on adjustments that you made, right? Against, based on how you change things. Like, do you, in terms of the tactics of some of what you've learned, like what have you changed in terms of how you trade? What do you think? What do you think of the things that clicked for you?
All right, so the one thing I just want to go back to the previous point. What I want to say is, and I saw some of the comments. Yeah. Listen, I traded for, call it 10 years at that $10,000 to $30,000 range, and I blew up probably 10 times. I mean, so.
He feels your pain, to say the least.
No,
yeah,
I'm with you 110%. I guess the only thing I'm trying to say is I don't listen. The last thing I want to come in and say, because I'm going to tell you still to this day, I'm going to go outside. I won't tell anybody I'm a trader. I don't consider myself a trader. The one benefit to going to school for architecture and having a degree and a license, I can at least say I'm an architect, even if I still want to be a trader. You know what I mean? But because I suffer from all the same things that people in this group do. So, but anyway, so I blew up plenty. The reason I wanted to come here was to say that even if you're not the superstar with the Picasso-like technical charts and all that other crazy stuff, it takes me a little while to read tape. And DeMark, I still don't even know what the hell that means half the time. I mean,
neither do I. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if you take bits and pieces from what the most sophisticated, knowledgeable, experienced traders in the room will give you, and you build your own system that works, I think you can be ridiculously profitable.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I have sort of that, call it success bias. Maybe I believe that for that reason, but at the end of the day, I believe it. So anyway, so to go into it, so my very simple, basic system and how I use some of the things that I learned from the room, in the class. I am a relative strength, relative weakness trader. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know, I'm not smart enough to know where Tesla is going to open tomorrow. I'm just not. I mean, maybe some people are. Lucci, he probably read the tape while he was, lounging in a pool somewhere, and he could tell you that it's going to open up, to the dollar. I can't do that, right? But I do know that, this morning I'm watching, I have to watch screens and charts and the action. I have to watch it all the time to really have my finger on the pulse. Mm-hmm. Okay. And to notice some of those moves, like all of a sudden this morning, market's holding, it's down, right? The market, and I'm just using this as an example, the market's holding up, it's down, it's off, 30 handles, whatever, but based on what we've been going through, it's not too much. And it's kind of flattish. But Tesla, I was holding long 900 calls. It's tailing off. You see, Tesla is relatively weak compared to the market. Now, okay, so I wrote some calls. And that allowed me to, again, then at that point, right, I use that as my main decision maker. Like, what happens on the tape? Oh, there's a block of, 60,000 on the offer. I'm not going to make a decision on that. I'm not sophisticated enough to do so. Mm-hmm. But I will bring up the tape. Like, I'll create sort of this artificial bias. I'll say, all right, I think Tesla's weak. I'm just using this as an example. Mm-hmm. I think Tesla's weak. I'll bring up the tape. I learned from watching Lucci, and listen, his education style is phenomenal. It's so enjoyable. I could just listen to him for days, talk about whatever, because it's just so enjoyable to listen to, right? Yeah. It's just so real and raw. It's fantastic. It's not like sitting in a classroom.
Yeah.
So I'll pull up the tape. I'll be like, okay, you know, again, I have a basic understanding of how to read tape, and it's looking a little weak to me. So that's how I've taken, I'll say, my own, what works for me. I can watch screens often.
Hmm.
I can have a decent feel, quote unquote, for the market. I will take then, you know, flow's another one. I mean, there wasn't a lot of flow on Tesla today, and it's tough after earnings, but I'll take my own relative strength, relative weakness, you know, silly system, and then I'll take these other pieces and sort of tack on. Now, if all of a sudden, let's say there was a monster sweep that goes through on Tesla for whatever, 750 puts expiring tomorrow, okay, then maybe I'd lean in harder,
Yeah.
right? So I
So
take
you,
those other pieces, you know, the tape, the flow. I read everyone's comments. You know, if Ranchero or Apollo or OT or somebody comes in and it's like, oh, you know, I'm leaning in hard. Now, in the past, I probably would have blindly tailed. Difference is now, I'll make up my own mind. I'll come up with a thesis, and then I'll just use, you know, whether it's people I respect's input or flow or tape, I'll just use those little tack-on pieces to help me substantiate whatever the move I'm going to make, help me not get, you know, shaken out, or maybe it'll help me adjust my size. Maybe, you know, Guy Drinkwater, who doesn't really know anything about anything in the market, and he's just, you know, still learning every day. You know, I maybe I'm going to write 10 calls. Well, then, you know, 10, whatever, 850 Tesla calls. And then let's say now all of a sudden flow comes in. All right, well, and it's on the put side. Well, now maybe I need to add to that. And then, you know, OT, Lucci come in, like, oh my God, Tesla's garbage, you know, and okay, well, again, that's not going to make my decision. I'll still now make my decision on my own, but I'll take those little bits and pieces and throw that into the mix to help either A, substantiate my position, or sometimes it's on the other side. I'm long-term bullish. I'm holding, you know, what am I holding? SPY 340 calls, September expiration. Now, I made my decision. I like the position over the long term. I don't know that I have the stomach to hold it, you know, till September, or even, you know, if I'm up 300%, it happened to me when I was holding tunes. I don't know that I can just hold it. You know, I mean, Warrior, I don't even know if he's in here. He has like the stomach of some Greek god
yeah,
or something,
he's a
that he can just
beast.
hold things
He's a
forever.
beast.
I don't know
Yeah.
how he does it, right?
Yeah.
I have the toughest time holding winning positions. But so where I'm going with this is, you know, Paulo jumps in the other day. Everybody knows he's short. I think I think he has like 225 May puts or something. He thinks the market's going down. I respect him a lot. Now in the past, I would have said, oh my God, Paulo's on the May 220. I got to be on those. Now I have my own opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But I still, those people that I respect, I take that info in, and I use it as a sort of reality check. Hey, do you really, how much do you believe in this? And if things start to turn, like tomorrow, if SPY dropped 100 points, or ES dropped 100 points, what do you think I'd be buying? Oh, that's right, the May 220s, because I'd be like, oh my God, maybe this is something, right? So I think you can be profitable, you can make up your own mind, but there's so much to learn. Take those bits and pieces and mold it into something that you can use.
So it sounds like you, and this is, I'm really glad that you described it the way you did, because I think a lot of people come in and they're like, okay, well, if I'm going to learn tape, then basically I'm getting rid of everything else I've learned, and I'm just going to read tape, and that's going to be my only form of analysis. But you use it in a way that a lot of people who go through the course or in the room, or who just tape readers generally use it. You have your own, you're still, you know, using relative strength, relative weakness to assess, to kind of build your trade thesis. And you're using tape now, you're using flow now to sort of kick the tires and say, like, is this the right time? Is the, you know, am I seeing another level of validation? You have another layer of analysis that you're using to, you know, tell you whether or not to pull the trigger on a trade, right?
Absolutely. And like, you know, the next steps, I throw a ton of feelers out there. You know, I have a ton of losing trades, but my winning trades are really big wins. So, you know, and I think that becomes really critical as you move forward. When I first started the masterclass, like like you said, oh, it's tape reading class night, and you're going to learn how to read the tape. Oh my God, I have to make all my decisions based on this. There's people that do, they're professionals. That's not me. And again, not sound like a broken record, I guess what I'm saying is I think that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Um,
absolutely okay. I
you,
mean,
you know,
you clearly found, this is like somewhere along the way, you gave yourself license to trade the way that makes sense to you, that works for you. Right. And that, to me, sitting on the outside, listening to what you're saying, is one of the things that came together. Instead of emulating other people, instead of following other people, you were like, I'm just going to do what works for me. And it sounds like your confidence went way up coming out of the master course.
yeah. And I had a couple notes. I didn't read any of them since I've been on, but one of the things I wrote was, fortunately, I think confidence is huge. Like Lucci, not to keep harping on him, right? But he's like one of the most, colorful characters in the room. Everybody knows him. He throws up on Instagram, I just dropped, 400 racks. I would be devastated. Like, I don't know how you come back from that. And for him, he's like, oh yeah, it's just part of the business. That's fantastic. Right. And I lost my train of thought here, but what did you just say?
Well, I was asking, it seems like your
Oh yeah,
confidence
confidence.
really,
Sorry.
like,
So
yeah.
in the beginning of the year, I think I had hit, towards the end of the year, December was rough. I used to try to play both sides. Oh, I'm all in bullish. I'm all in bearish, puts, call, and that was, to use a gambling reference, I don't know how many people play craps. It's like, if you have it at the table, oh, I'm on the pass line. Oh, that guy just crapped out. All right, I'm on the don't pass, and now 7 come out. It's switching back and forth was getting tough for me.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough in the beginning of this year to hit a couple plays. And then I felt like that was one of the biggest difference makers. Like, once you hit a couple wins, you're like, wait a minute. Now, whereas in September, middle of summer last year, every other day, one day I thought, I was like, oh my God, I should probably pick out my private jet right now. What is the interior going to look like? And then the next day I'm like, I can't trade. I got to close up my account. What am I doing?
Right.
But then again, fast forward, you meet a lot of people, you hear a lot of stories, and you realize you're not alone with some of this crazy thoughts. And then in the beginning of the year, closed out with a majority of the class. I tried to, like, lately I've been more active in the class. Like, hey, I think today I called out, I'm like, I wrote some 870s on Tesla. That's as much for anybody who's learning as it is for me. I want to be accountable, and then so you hit a couple wins in the beginning of the year, and now you get that confidence. You're like, wait a minute, maybe now I can do this. Now all of a sudden, that's why I'm assuming Lucci, drills 400 in the red, and he can still live to fight another day. He knows he's coming back. I was fortunate enough to get some of that. And during this recent insane, downdraft, I survived. And on the upswing, I made out. And I think confidence is everything. I'm still, like I said, if someone came to me, they're like, well, how good are you at trading? I'm like, well, average at best. Right?
Talk to me, different answer every single day, right?
Exactly. Yeah, if you asked me this morning, it wasn't so good.
Right.
But confidence is key, 100%.
Yeah. Were you writing options much before you took the course, or was that something you really
never.
looked at? Okay.
I thought it was insane.
Yeah. All right. So that's
like what? You want to be on the hook for what? Amazon, right. What? No, I mean, I thought it was crazy. Now, again, after the class, a better knowledge of how to do it. And, I think I told you the other day, Wednesdays, I'll write weekly. It's like OT. I don't know how he's, the other day he pops in the room. Oh, I'm on the hook for 500K for SPX calls or something from like 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
I am not at that level. And again, I think it's okay to say that. I'm a lot more honest now, and maybe it's because I had some of that confidence earlier on. but I don't, I'm getting there, baby steps.
Right.
Like I
Right.
said, I wrote Tesla today and it helped out. It salvaged my terrible 900 maze into something decent.
One of the things that we talked about too in sort of prep that you touched on was just like, more than anything, the psychology of trading stuff really had an impact on you. I mean, we're talking about confidence right now. I mean, is there a specific sort of lesson or kind of a piece that clicked for you in terms of psychology of trading that all
Um,
this came together?
yeah, no, and again, psychology is for me still to this day everything.
Yeah.
I mean 90-10, and that's just for me. It's something that I as a trader struggle with. I think it was helpful to hear a lot of stories in the group and to that everybody deals with these things, right? I mean, you know, that was a Chris Katie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He said something, or his I felt like his lesson was fantastic. I don't know if anyone has access to it. Go back, re-listen to it. I've listened to it again. One of the stupid things, and I was thinking about it today. Actually, I was running around trying to grocery shop with whatever's going on, right? Curbside pickup, and he said one of the stupid points he made was, don't ever open a position on your cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, you close positions, that's okay because you don't have your screens in front of you, your information, and that's still to this day clicks. And I feel like that's more of a psychology thing
Hmm.
versus an actual trading mechanic. Like it's not about writing or buying or whatever. It's just saying like at that point in time, I'm picking up chicken cutlets and I think that I know what's going to happen to Tesla in the afternoon. Like that's just silly. That's a oh no, I didn't make enough money today, so I have to do more. I mean, how many times, and I can't imagine I'm alone in this. I've had an okay week, and then I bury it on a Friday. Then all of a sudden it's Friday afternoon, and I think that I'm going to salvage my whole week by buying, you know, day closes in 2 hours, and I'm buying, Roku calls 5 points out of the money. Like that's
Right.
not going to save your day. And I feel like that's a much bigger story or speaks more to the psychology of it than the mechanics. It's not
Yeah.
about calls and puts at that point. It's about, oh my God, I couldn't lay off, and now I think I have to make back money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I mean,
So
it's that like, I should have done more today. I need to do more. I need to see a certain number in my account. And yeah, you whip out your phone, start placing trades, and next thing you
right. I
know,
mean,
yeah.
so how many people today traded Tesla, and I don't even know what happened with Amazon today, but let's say Tesla, because that was a big one last night, bought, the 900 weeklies, and then realized I saw some comments. They were like, "Oh my God, these are now worth, Tesla's up 50 points, but the option is now worth less than I paid for it yesterday." Well, that's obviously an event, but my question would be, and something that I'd look back to the group and let's dig into the psychology. Okay, for those of you, let's say it was a half dozen of you that were in that situation, what did you do about it as a result? And I would bet money that more people overtraded as a result than just, all right, let me shut it down. I'll start again tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm not, speaking from the ivory tower, I do the same thing at times. I just do it a little less now than I did then, and that's why I'm now, I've fortunately been profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something about the course and hearing from other members of it. And then obviously guys like Chris and Naj and Lucci that gives people, and Wall Street Jesus too, that gives people a license to just to follow the habits, to do the things that they know that they need to do, that they probably had a voice in their head going into the course. Like, I shouldn't be doing this shit, but then going through
Right.
the course, hearing other people's stories, hearing that, hey, this is something that other traders do. It doesn't mean you should do it, but you're not alone. You're not the only one who bumps into this obstacle. We see a lot of that. We see people's like bad habits sort of falling to the wayside. So, um,
Absolutely.
there's
And
a,
again, because it's a very social aspect to the room and the trading, and it's, like I don't want to go in and tell Carney. I mean, the guy rolls around in a ring and beats people up for a living. Like I can't go tell Carney that I wimped out and I overtraded. You know what I mean? Again, I'm making this up, but like those are the things as you become more of a real member of the group, there's that accountability or that check back. You know, in the past, you know, it's happened, you know, all the time. I'll be watching whatever, Netflix, and Netflix is running, and I feel like I just get this weird feeling inside of me. And again, I know I'm not alone in this. I get this weird feeling, oh my God, I got to get in this. I have to be in. I'm missing out. And then you'll see somebody else in the group, certainly, you know, more seasoned than I, whether it's a Lucci or OT or a chair or whoever. Okay, guys, you know, Netflix is running. Let's wait for a pullback. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
wait for a pullback. Don't be an idiot. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
And then
remembered. Don't be an idiot. Okay.
oh, right. Oh, right. I remembered what I'm not supposed to do.
Right.
But it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a bunch of people asking questions, so we can take
Sure.
some, take some questions. I'll start reading some of these out. And guys, if you have more questions for Guy, then ask him. I'm going to do a quick plug here for the master course. The next one starts on Monday. So yeah, we got a $500 discount leading up until then. We were getting a ton of people asking for discounts because of coronavirus and stuff, and we totally understand that and you know, and support. So you know, there's a coupon code there. If you go to sayinglucci.com/MC, or you just go to this web address through the 3LC playbook, you can get access to it. You learn tape reading, equities and options trading, flow trading, trading psychology. It is the full package. I won't run through the whole thing here, but you can see everything on the course page there. Definitely suggest you check it out. This is essentially what we've been talking about with Guy this whole time. And if you have questions or anything, shoot me an email, charlie@sayinglucci.com. I'll get you covered.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that is I feel like the class versus the room. And again, I'm not on the take from SL, but I just want to be as real as humanly possible. Like
Right.
the class is for me, I felt like how I developed a system. And the room is, if you're just going into the room, I think there's a lot of people, I mean, I've seen a ton of DMs lately. People, oh, what are you doing with this position? You know, should I get in? And just tailing other trades. Problem with that is, and I'd say, I bet there's a bunch of people in the room that are members of other rooms and have these other services. I paid for those, right? I did that. You know, I'd be in a service and they're like, oh, you know, buy, you know, U.S. Steel now, you know, the 30 calls. Well, I don't even know how much X trades at now, but,
Right.
and then you realize as soon as, you know, it takes a dip, you're like, well, I don't really want to be trading X, right? Like, why am I doing this? You know, this is no good. And then you wash out, and then everyone who, you know, who kept at it, now it's up 3 points or whatever. So I think it's really critical. I would be a master course first, figure out your system and really be real with yourself, and then join in the room. At least that's how I did it. And I mean, full disclosure, you know, I mean, I'm close now. I was not profitable in the last, in ever. I was never profitable. and again, it was a hobby, right? So, you know, all right, make 10 grand on the year, make, you know, down 12, whatever. I've never had to claim on my taxes trading profits. I'll put it to you that way. But in really coming into my own, being okay with not being, you know, rock star, Jesus, trader, whatever, and just letting it work for me. And then, like I said, just, you know, adding on those little bits and pieces I learned for everybody else who knows a lot more than me. I'm fairly confident by the mid-year point here, I'll be up 7 figures. And that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to blow up your spot or anything, but, you know, the gains that you have thrown up, this year are, you know, fucking incredible. So, guys, we're not promising that if you take the master course, you're going to make 7 figures in 6 months. It's possible for sure. obviously you've seen a you know, cause and effect relationship in what Guy's talking about here. But
I
yeah,
guess what I'm
it's
saying
awesome,
is
man.
you don't have to be a pro. It's possible,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. For
That's
sure.
that's that's really the point. And you can continue to, just mess around. And like I said, I was doing that for years of
Yeah.
just up, down 10, up 4. I'm the man, up, down 6, but no system, no accountability, just, playing weeklies and earnings, Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. We could take some questions.
All good. All good. All right. So let's look at, I mean, this is a great question that everybody asks. How do you manage trading with a full-time job? How do you do it?
Um, it's difficult. I actually uh, put in notice like a month ago at my 9 to 5. Even though the funny thing is, again, this is more the psychology side. That's how I identify. I'm like, oh, I'm an architect. I work for this, multi-billion-dollar company. Like that's impressive. But
Right.
um, that's how I identified. And it took me a while. I was actually the reason I was leaving my 9 to 5 was to go and work full time. My wife, because she was buried in our business, fortunately, was doing extremely well. And that's why I was leaving. But then I think it was maybe a week ago, she's like, you say you're coming over to help me full time, but you hang out with those clowns in SL every day, So, and I'm like, well, yeah, I know. Like, but I still can't wrap my head around it being a full-time trader, quote unquote. So I
Right.
guess, yes, that's an issue. Fortunately, I'm able to I'll say my business, run my business. We do a lot of stuff like after trading hours. My wife is full-time day in, day out, during the day. I do a majority of that. We do a lot of live sales after hours. But yes, there is definitely, um, it's definitely difficult. I mean, I'm working from home now, so it's a little different, obviously. But fast forward once this all ends, hopefully 2 months from now, I would probably have a difficult time going back because although I'm very fortunate in my position on the 9 to 5, I'm doing a lot better trading.
Right.
So
And I think you just touched on something that we see a lot just psychologically in terms of identifying like and putting so much weight on this hitting this benchmark of becoming like a full-time trader.
sure.
And for a lot of people that is not the best thing to do. I think it is incredibly psychologically healthy for traders to have another means of income, something else you can do. If the markets are dead and you've got you're sitting around, like instead of clicking buttons, you got another business that you can pour your time and attention to. It takes a ton of pressure off of you, and this whole concept of you not identifying as a trader, I would imagine helped you a little bit in terms of these wins and in terms of weathering the storms, because your identity wasn't as attached to your P&L at the end of the day, right?
Yes, yes and no. It's funny, and I don't, chicken or the egg. And now we're gonna get into like this deep, very open, psychological conversation.
Yeah.
But like I would find myself doing things that, again, it was because like I wanted to, like I know in my heart of hearts, I'm not a professional. I don't work on Wall Street. I don't have nearly the experience of a Lucci or Ranch or OT or any of these guys or Apollo. I don't run money for anyone else. I never want to. But I found myself when I first started making money, I would text my wife. I'd be like, "Oh, hey, hit for 40K." You know what I mean? And and then I think like, and then she came to like, she didn't care. She's like, "Well, I have all these other things. Like, yeah, that's great, but it got not that it got old, but like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I still have to go to work. I still have to do all these other things. So thanks for telling me that." And she's like, "But you don't ever tell me when you lose." I'm like, well, that's a fair point. So I realized very quickly that I was just trying to substantiate myself as, oh, well, I felt like, am I just, playing, day trader and sitting at my computer and not, giving my all to the business, the 9 to 5, whatever it is. And that's still something completely honest. Yeah, I still struggle with today. I don't think it's going to be a while, I think, before I really ever identify as a trader. I mean, I can make, let's just say, God willing, I made, $3 million this year. I still
Right.
don't think I would call myself a trader. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Um, and
It
I
might be
think
the best
that
thing for you, man.
because you could lose, you know what I mean? Like you never, I'm still nervous as as a regular Joe, as you put it, um, that you can lose.
And
And
ironically, that might make you more of a pro trader than anything,
right, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Because I look at it as for me, I have a 9 to 5, I have a business, I have trading, and I just look at it as, diversity across the board,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
Um,
Yeah. And guys, in terms of takeaways for this, whether you take the course or not, that doesn't matter for this point. It's, you really don't have to, you can take this seriously and commit yourself to it and have it be a real thing for you, have it be a passion, have it be the thing that your mind is often thinking about most, and still serve that passion and serve your P&L by doing other things, and I think Guy's a good example of that. I know a ton of traders who people consider to be, full-time pros or whatever, and they're like, no, I can't keep my head straight if the only thing I have is trading. I have to be able to have something else that I'm dipping into, and that's for financial purposes, and that's also for hobbies, psychology. All right, let's get a couple more. Do you conduct analysis, or are trends/momentum on tape more relevant to you?
no, I don't. Part of the difficulty for me personally in having the business and the jobs and like I I always have my phone. I always know what's happening. Futures the up down because I'm carrying a position more times than not. But I've tried to do in the past is, after the day is closed, you're studying charts, you're back testing tape and doing all this other stuff. That's just happened to be for me real life. I have a son, I have a wife, I have what's a growing business that dwarfs all this other stuff that we try to do. So that's then what I'm on to after that. So I don't really, there's not a whole lot of technical analysis and trend following and charting. I mean, I'm familiar enough that I can look at a chart and I know what I'm looking at. But again, going back to it, I'm not usually making a decision just because, something's bouncing off a lower Bollinger Band or something like that. But on the flip side of that, during the trading day, I watch a lot, and I feel like because of that, like I have a good handle or a good quote unquote feel for what's happening, and that allows me to pick up some of those smaller, relative strength, relative weakness, and that's what works for me.
Gotcha. We got a question from Will Struck. What's the best thing that you learned in the master course? Tape reading, hedging, or something else?
Best thing I learned was it's tough. I would say from a technical aspect, it was probably tape reading because I knew nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was completely unfamiliar to me, and I felt like it was immediately a tool. Again, I sort of went too far, and in the initial feeling was, oh, okay, I can trade based on this. For me, that just didn't work. But it was a direct bolt-on tool that I could use to help. Like I said, it's not making my decision, but maybe, instead of, on my own relative strength weakness, maybe it'll turn a feeler into a heavier position, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And then on the psychology side, I can't really think of anything specific, but I still go back to and think that, again, for me personally, the psychology is a much bigger aspect, at least for the things that, I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just great to hear people that, deal with very similar issues. And even though they are seasoned vets, I mean, they still, no matter who it is in the room, no matter how good they are, they still make bad calls from time to time.
Yeah.
You know, and usually there's a reason though. The funny thing is that next level is what is the reason behind that.
Yeah.
And it's usually not, oh, I just, I thought I saw something else on the tape. No, of course not. They know what they know. They saw the technicals of the tape or the flow or whatever, but they decided that that moment they had to get in, even, if they had to do it over, they know it wasn't the right move.
Right. And the why behind placing trades is something Lucci and I talked about in the last webinar we did. You guys can see that on our YouTube channel in the 3LT playbook series that's on the homepage of the YouTube channel. All right, Guy, you're a busy guy, so we're not gonna hold you up anymore. But really appreciate you being in here and doing this. I think it helps a lot of people kind of conceive of what this could look like for them. If you guys are interested in joining the master course, again, starts up on Monday, $500 discount. Up until then, you can see more information at sayinglucci.com/MC, or shoot me an email, charlie@sayinglucci.com, if you have questions around that. And Guy, do you have any parting words for these guys before you bounce?
Just to say that I'm always around, and I have spent a ton of money on bad decisions. So that if anybody, just feel free. I can't always be, active on DMs or whatever else, but shoot me a question, or I'm with you guys. I really feel like, we're the room is 10% rock stars, 90% everybody else. I feel like I'm in that 90%. But I just want to say that, speaking from experience, I really believe that you can be in that 90% everybody else and still really, if you could just, get your act together and make a couple minor changes. Like I'm still a basket case half of the time, right? And I'm still making bad trades from time to time. But I think that you can create a system with some small tweaks and help the people in here and really develop a system where you generate your own ideas that you can believe in, and that will put you head and shoulders above, tailing, somebody else. And
Well
that's
said.
it.
Well said, man. Thank you for being here, Guy. Appreciate you taking
Thank
the
you.
time. Be safe
Thank
out
you.
there, man. All right.
Absolutely. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.